Here's my personal review of The Amazing Spider-Man. This is a 360-degree departure from the previous three Spider-Man movies from Sam Raimi. In the story, it shows Peter's parents, Richard and Mary Parker, who left their son in care of his aunt and uncle, May and Ben Parker. And then flash forward Peter as a high schooler who's a skateboarder, naughty wimp who's willing to stand up for the little guy and get beaten up in the process. He has this crush on Gwen Stacy. In the comic book history, that's Peter Parker's first girlfriend before Mary Jane Watson. And then and and then he reads the story about Dr. Curtis Connors and his father. All right, let's move the story along a little bit. He goes to his lab and finds out that Gwen Stacy is interning and meets up with Curtis Connors. Curtis Connors is somewhat of a Jekyll and Hyde. He's still lost one arm and tries to come up with serums that wants to grow his arm. Okay. Peter's uncle, Ben Parker, is somewhat tough on him for his own good. And then on that day, Peter sneaks into the lab and gets bitten by a genetically altered spider and discovers he has the powers. He somewhat shows off on his powers, first against Flash Thompson, and then he jumps up in the air and does a slam on the backboard. And that brings his uncle out and give him a curfew. He somewhat sneaks out of the house and goes to Dr. Connor's lab and they compare notes. And then, say, middle in the story, his uncle gets killed. Did that faze him? No. Then in the story, he becomes like a vigilante without the Spider-Man mask and costume and goes after people. In my book, that's not a smart move. And then and then he lands into that wrestling ring that was used in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man version, and gets the idea of wearing a mask. Okay, he does that and brings it to the attention to Captain Stacy, Gwen's father, who wants to try to get rid of him and try to mask him. All right. And then after he does that, he switches to full costume. He saves a. He goes up against the lizard. That's what the people wanted, and saves a kid. And then then he feels responsible, Peter, that he created the lizard and stops him. And then Captain Stacy and the New York City police corners Peter, and he was unmasked. Then Peter explains to Captain Stacy that he's the only one who can stop the lizard. And Captain Stacy allows Peter to do it and give him back the mask. When Peter tries to swing away at Spider-Man, he gets shot for his troubles. And then the father of the kid that Spider-Man helped saved was grateful and ordered his employees to give Spider-Man a ledge to use, and that ends into a final battle with the lizard. And the lizard somewhat taunts Spider-Man, and then Captain Stacy comes in the picture and helps him. Then Spider-Man takes off with the cure on top of Oscorp Tower, and Captain Stacy dies in trying to stop the lizard. Then the lizard takes up after him. Then, when Peter puts that cure into play and opens the cloud and rains a blue water, and that's when the lizard is finally cured, and Curtis Connors came back. And then it takes two deaths to finally hit it hard to Peter Parker. First one, his uncle, and second one, Captain Stacy. He finally grows up, and that's it. Okay, the good parts and the bad parts of Spider-Man. The good parts is it's less CGI and more action, and the stunts are more wilder. I kindly like the interpretation of Peter Parker of being a complete jerk. And Curtis Connors, he's somewhat of a Jekyll and Hyde type of person. I consider that as a improvement. The web shooters are back, and the fans wanted Spider-Man versus the Lizard. That's where Sam Raimi did not offer in his three previous Spider-Man movies. The bad part. The genetically altered radioactive spider, that somewhat kills it. Two, Captain Stacy, he somewhat inherited J. Jonah Jameson's persona about trying to amass Spider-Man. Three, there's no J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man reboot. He might be in the upcoming Amazing Spider-Man 2. Just wait and see. That's about it. Oh yeah, if you want to see this movie, just stay about a few minutes because a mysterious figure in the shadows meets up with Dr. Curtis Connors in his jail cell. And Kurt goes from, say, a bad guy to Peter Parker's protector. And when that guy in the shadows mysteriously disappears, he's going to be the next possible villain in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm going to give this movie 2 thumbs up.